Yeah, there's two people
Yeah,
joined. Hey, Liv. Hey, Joe.
awesome.
And Wade is actually going to be joining us here in Riverside. Hey, Wade. How are
Hi,
you?
Hi,
really
Wade.
excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We're
we're
just
pretty
getting
stoked too.
started here. All right, streaming across three platforms. All right.
So, Justin, yeah, why don't we introduce ourselves and just take it away? We've got an action-packed hour here, so I think I'll just tee us up. Welcome to the very first Instagram and LinkedIn live stream. My name is Keegan Francis. I am the CTO of Food Web, and Justin, why don't you introduce yourself and introduce Food Web?
Yeah, so my name's Justin Andrews. I'm the CEO of Food Web. Food Web was born out of the challenge of trying to find a rental kitchen. I'm a chef, and years ago, I struggled to find a kitchen to rent part time to grow my business. Ended up going back to school, kind of gave up on that vision. But then during my degree at Dalhousie, heard from a number of other food organizations and food businesses that this problem persists. People struggle to find part time rental kitchens. And, you know, when people are just getting started, their food business, farmers markets are often the place people get started, launch their business, build a customer base before they grow into bigger markets. And none of those people are ready to rent a full time kitchen from day one. But we kind of had the light bulb moment where we said, well, wait a second. There's underused kitchens everywhere, right? We have churches, fire halls, cafes closed at 5 p.m. So I thought to myself, well, how do we get these people connecting? And that's what we've done, right? So over the last couple years, Food Web was officially started in 2023. We spent the last 2 years really talking to people out in the community, hosting engagement groups, really wanted to understand like what is the challenge here, right? And
Wade
what
being
is
one of
stopping
them.
people from renting. So we can dive more into that later, but that's a quick Wade being one of them, exactly. So we'll would love to touch on that in a moment. I see a whole bunch of people joining us here on Instagram. Thanks everybody for joining. Um, yeah, that's a bit about me and how we got here.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people might know you, Justin, but not a lot of people from the food ecosystem might know me. So my story is actually in fintech. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have an affinity for working at startups. The last 10 years have been spent working in Bitcoin companies of all things. And two things that Justin, well, one thing that Justin told me sat right on top of like one of my own philosophies. In my yearbook quote, it ends with "You can't eat money," and so I have a blog post about that on the Food Web blog. And then right before we started Food Web, Justin told me this awesome quote about how we won't have a true revolution unless we solve the problem of bread. And that's in a nutshell just meaning we have to solve local food infrastructure if we want to be able to affect change on a broad scale. If people's basic food and hunger needs aren't met, then we've really got no hope of making radical change. And so, coming from the Bitcoin space, I fell in love with Bitcoin. I came for the gains. I stayed for the philosophy and the revolution. But then Justin rightfully poked me and pointed out that the revolution is not going to happen unless we have a strong food system, and that's why I joined Justin. So yeah, today, what do we have on the agenda today, Justin? We've got a partnership announcement, we've got a membership announcement, and we've got a big feature drop that we're going to talk quite a bit about. That ties very well into like us as individuals, and our ethos and the foundation on which Food Web is built. So yeah, let's. What order do we want to do this in, Justin? Do we want to have Wade kind of talk a little bit about his experience with interacting with Food Web over the last year/months, or do we
Yeah,
want to get into the anything
I think
else?
I think that's good actually. Yeah, and if we can put you on the spot there, Wade, and just from your perspective, this kind of challenge of we know there's entrepreneurs in the region looking for a kitchen, and we know there's empty kitchens. So if you just want to maybe share from your vantage point as a both a city councilor and an economic development officer, kind of shine some light on this challenge we're trying to solve.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate kind of the opportunity. This is one that I got really excited about the minute you guys went on your tour and you appeared in Yarmouth. I'm a counselor in Yarmouth, and I also work for the Western Regional Enterprise Network, which works in economic development. And I saw huge possibilities in this. For me, I focused on rural Nova Scotia and some of the issues that exist within rural Nova Scotia and trying to create those kind of uh, great opportunities where things come together. And this seems to be one of those for me. In rural Nova Scotia, we are full of great kitchens that are being really underutilized. You think about things like fire halls, like Legion halls, like any kind of Lions halls, those kind of things. They're there, and there are a lot of them all through different areas. And at the same time, we have people literally coming to our office who want to become food entrepreneurs, who are looking for spaces. And the ability to put the two together creates a revenue stream for both. It gives those entrepreneurs an opportunity to grow their businesses. It gives the halls themselves revenue streams that just did not exist before. And it brings everybody together. It helps with food security and food insecurity when it comes to that, and really can be something that can add to all of our communities, because when these kind of situations come together, you can see the growth, and I expect some huge growth both on your site and in our communities because of this. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Wade. Yeah, and big thanks to everybody down in Yarmouth. Yarmouth is emerging as one of our biggest champions for really seeing what we're trying to do here. And anybody tuning in from the region, Yarmouth, Digby, Clare, we're going to be visiting you maybe late winter, early spring. We're going to come back around and do another tour and hope to be hosting some events. And you alluded to a couple things there, Wade. One of the things we heard both when we were on tour down in Yarmouth, but also in other regions from some of these kitchens that are underused, is people don't want to deal with the tenant applications, the paperwork, the administrative work. So you have an underused kitchen. In theory, you could be making money by renting that out. But you're faced with that resistance of, yeah, but I just don't want to do that. Right. And we heard everything from I don't want to have to go and let them in and give them a key, down to I just don't know what to charge, or what about liability and insurance. And we're here today live to tell the world that Food Web is built to remedy that. Right. So if you're worried about insurance, you require your renters to have insurance. They upload that on their profile. If you don't want to have to unlock the door for somebody, you can install a door with a key code and give that user the key code in their welcome email, just as if you were checking into an Airbnb. Sometimes nobody's there to greet you. You unlock your key from a little key box. We've heard so many of these reasons why somebody might not want to rent. And we've really built those in as much as we could into Food Web. So if there's other reasons why somebody doesn't want to share their space, throw it our way. We want to know that, right? So we can figure out how to support that. And I'm just going to let in, we have somebody else joining us here from RANS, Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia. Good morning, Danielle. Thanks for joining us. Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. It's a good snowy morning to be live.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on, and we got some updates. Let's keep rolling. I'm just going to look over here for a second to check.
Yeah, Justin, I think now's a perfect opportunity to announce
as well.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to announce the partnership now. So we've got Danielle here, and I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, so super exciting news. We, over the last week, have been in touch with the Restaurants Association of Nova Scotia, and we just formed a partnership with them. So we will be, helping work with them and leveraging their member network. Several hundred restaurants across Nova Scotia that are part of their member network. And RANS is also just overall a voice for the restaurant industry, so does a lot to support and advocate for restaurants. And we formed a partnership that'll do two things. One will be giving any RANS members a discount on the platform fees on Food Web, and also giving RANS a referral percentage kickback. So this will support their members, but also over time create some financial incentives and profit sharing with RANS joining us at this early stage. So big thanks to RANS. Means a lot to us to have somebody join us on the ground floor like this. And, Keegan and I are both from Nova Scotia, and forming these partnerships in Nova Scotia just means the world to us. So thank you so much. And I'm sure over the next weeks, the world will be hearing a lot more about this. But this is our early announcement. Thank you. Thank you.
No, we're so pleased to be a part of this. It was such a good fit. We were so excited when you came to us. Having a list of restaurants that were interested in renting their space has been always a little bit of a dream of mine. However, I definitely would not have been able to accomplish it so professionally and succinctly as you both have. We're just a team of 3 at the Restaurant Association. And so being able to see how other parts of the community are just taking the reins and taking over different parts of this type of business, it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And stay tuned for what else can come out of this partnership. We've had a few conversations around, how do we help restaurants navigate questions and concerns and permits faster and with greater efficiency. So I think there's a lot to come out of this over the next little while. So stay tuned, and yeah, very excited to be working together.
Yeah, us too.
And Justin, you mentioned that RANS is the benefactor of the referral program. So we cut a special deal for RANS, like you said. We've got a special place in our heart, and because both of us are from Nova Scotia, and RANS is a nonprofit, and so the referral program, though, it's an open referral program, meaning anyone can also join. They start at a 1% lifetime kickback, meaning any restaurant or kitchen that you refer to our platform, you're going to get 1% of the revenue from that restaurant for life. And this is all about giving back to the community and strengthening the community. It's about you going in and recommending to put your platform on Food Web and get more local food entrepreneurs off the ground. As Wade mentioned earlier in this live stream, people are struggling to find kitchens, not just all across Nova Scotia, right? This is just where we're starting, but everywhere in Canada, we see this problem. Justin, you've spoken at conferences, not like on stage, but like with many of the attendees, and you've heard from coast to coast that this is an issue that is expressed and felt by food entrepreneurs and kitchen owners. So this goes two ways, right? The kitchen owners need an extra line of revenue because, well, margins are tight. They're the tightest in like almost any industry. And so this additional revenue line, by making use and monetizing your empty kitchen space, that can really make a difference. We built a revenue calculator for restaurants to just go in, plug in how many hours you think that you could rent your kitchen for on a weekly basis, and it'll tell you how much that'll amount to at the end of the year. And then on the renter side, I think it gets them off the ground. There's a gap in the market from the very small to the I haven't started my food business yet to the medium-sized people who haven't reached the scale where they can enter a larger production facility offered by someone like Perennia. And then we now have another tier, another user group, and that's our partners, right? We want to bring more people into the ecosystem, so that's RANS. right? That these are the nonprofits that know plenty of restaurant owners and have built trust with them. And so we're really stoked to have Food Web and be in the thoughts and minds of and be extended to these people's constituents. And lastly, it's the general user, the folks that just want to help because they think this is a cool idea. Now they can get involved. If you go onto Food Web, you sign up today, you can go as a general user and enter the referral program and get a lifetime revenue stream. It's like everyone's kind of hurting economically right now. And so Food Web is built on community strength. This is what that means. This is where Food Web doesn't want that extra revenue, right? You can have it. Please take it from us. And that's the exciting feature that we've been working on for the last month now. So Justin, did you want to say anything about that or add any notes?
Yeah, so I think there's two parts to that. So uh, as you touched on, Keegan, this gives an opportunity for anybody out there, whether it be a nonprofit partner or just an individual, to earn a little bit of extra income by supporting the local food movement. But it's also trust building, right? We've learned that to convince kitchens to share their space and adopt this new way, this kitchen sharing economy, it requires a high degree of trust. And being from Nova Scotia and being a chef and have worked on farms and food organizations, I know Nova Scotia quite well, but I don't know Prince Edward Island as well. I don't know New Brunswick as well, et cetera, et cetera. But somebody out there does, right? And we realize that there's probably a chef in Fredericton who is better suited to go door to door telling kitchens, hey, you can earn a little bit of extra money than me flying to Fredericton and going door to door. I will still be visiting Fredericton. Stay tuned. We'll be really touring all across Canada in 2026. But we wanted to leverage those trusting relationships. And not just through word of mouth, but actually being able to share some of that reward, right? I know there's a lot of, people just struggling financially, and we thought, why not use this as an opportunity to create ways for people to earn? And as Keegan mentioned, this referral program is for lifetime, right? So if Wade referred a kitchen, it's not like a one-time commission that he'll earn. He'll earn a percentage of any revenue from that kitchen booking for lifetime. So even 7 years later, if that kitchen is still using Food Web to rent and Wade is long since, no longer really participating and is focused on other things, there's still going to be that annual recurring kickback from that kitchen. Wade becomes the ambassador of that specific kitchen. So we thought this is a really great way to give back and reach a wider audience. So anybody out there interesting, I'm seeing some emojis fly up my screen. If you see me looking over here, I have the Instagram and LinkedIn. So thanks for the love. And I also would just want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to take a moment too. Mariah popped in here while we were chit-chatting. I just want to introduce Mariah. This is our brand architect, brand visionary extraordinaire, UI UX designer, marketing human, has done so much at Food Web, has been part of the team since the early days. And yeah, just want to throw some love there. And when I was in my business program at school, our class on branding, they said something really beautiful about, what is a brand, right? People often think, okay, it's your logo and it's your colors and all of these things, but what's deeper there? What is a brand? And my professor said a brand is making true on the promise that you set out for your community. And from day one, Mariah has been just like such a epic mirror to help not only like the practical things, but like where are we at? How are we feeling? How are we showing up? How are we offering our gifts to the world? So we couldn't have done this without you, Mariah. So thank you. If you want to say anything to the world, little intro.
Hello. I just want to say that I met Justin at Seven Bays in Halifax. Well, I've known him from the other communities, but we have this thing. It was like when you recognize the crazy look in somebody's eyes when they're entrepreneur, and it's like I see the crazy look and I have that crazy look, so I believe in what you're doing. And that crazy look has brought us to this point. So thank you for being crazy with me.
You got to be a little crazy to do something like this, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, so Justin, why don't you talk about the journey of creating the kitchen platform? We started with the company's name is called Food Web Asset Mapping. If you looked online, that's what you'll find. So I need you to kind of break down what is an asset map, just like high level or mid level, your choice. But then why have we landed on kitchens? Like, how does that fit into the overall mission statement of Food Web?
Right. Yeah. So what is an asset map? Asset maps are becoming more and more popular, especially in the food industry. An asset map is a map of all of the bits and pieces of a food system. So that can be a food bank, a community garden, a church that has a kitchen for rent, various nonprofit and community programs. And in Canada, there are somewhere between probably 70 and 100 food asset maps. Last year, a study was done reviewing 73 food asset maps. When we first started, I was inspired by one that was built for Charlottetown, PEI. It's on the City of Charlottetown website. If you Google Charlottetown food asset map, you'll find it. And I was clicking around. I was like, oh, amazing. Like, this is great. You can see where all the community gardens are and all the things. Like, this is awesome. And then when I came across a little bubble for a church, I clicked on it, and there's like one line saying, has a kitchen for rent. And then you click on that, and then it opens a new page, and you're just on the website for the church where there's no mention of facility rentals. Hard to even find the contact email address. We all know what it's like to go digging on a website looking for where to email the people about the thing. And then I realized, like, wait a second, like, map, kitchen for rent, get lost in process. And we were like, okay, what would it look like to actually be able to have that booking utility built into this? And, the current generation of food asset maps are simply a directory. Most often, the actual details about the thing in the directory, you need to link off and go and read their website. So it's better than nothing, and we need to go further. And so we set out to say, okay, what would it look like to actually build that booking utility? You have a map of a kitchen, view kitchen, see their price, what equipment do they have, what is their availability. I want to be able to click apply right now and go through that process all within one home. So yeah, food asset maps really inspired the journey. When we first set out for Food Web, our visions were pretty lofty and grand. We're like, we're going to map the entire food system. Ha, ha, ha. And then we're like, whoa, that's big. That's really big. We need to start somewhere. And, being a chef and having experienced this problem firsthand of looking for a kitchen, that's where we started. But, stay tuned for our journey where we plan on, releasing other features as the time goes on. We've had conversations with the Department of Agriculture in Nova Scotia who said, well, could you do what you're doing for kitchens, but also for distribution, right? A lot of people struggle to get 2 or 3 boxes of hot sauce from their kitchen to a retail store in Nova Scotia or in Halifax. It's not always efficient to do small delivery, yet there's empty delivery trucks driving everywhere. So what would it like to build something for, connecting that? We can't do it all at once. We're starting with kitchens, but the goal is to really have visibility on all the inner workings of food. Who's where, who's doing what resources do we have? There's a lot of folks these days talking about food hubs, right? The need for aggregation facilities. Building a new food hub is going to cost $1 bajillion. And I bet you there are dozens, if not hundreds, of half-empty walk-in fridges everywhere. What would it look like for us to share the resources we already have? So that's kind of the ethos of Food Web, is share what we have and maximize efficiency.
And it made the most sense to start with kitchens based on the conversations that we've had, both with kitchen owners and renters. You did a across Nova Scotia tour in the summer of this year, and that all of that talking with community members resulted in what you see on foodweb.network today. Right. So it resulted in all the features, all of the design, all of the onboarding experience, all of that got aggregated into what you see. Essentially, the kitchens is the low hanging fruit. And I don't want people to think that we're just going to abandon the kitchens and go and like pursue the asset map now. And like, no, this is it. Like, it's a wholesome application, and Food Web Kitchens is the very first place that we're starting, and it's going to integrate directly into the rest of the Food Web asset mapping platform, which has yet to receive an official, like, cool, slick name. It's Food Web Kitchens right now, but we're working on it. We're thinking on it. So, Justin, I want you to tell a couple stories now. One from the renter side and one from the kitchen side. Just any that come to mind. Something that really gives the audience an understanding of the type of people that we're dealing with and the kind of people that you've spoken to. Feel free to, like, you know, some of these are emotional stories, and I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah. So, one that comes to mind, I'll share two on the renter side. So one was back in 2023 when we were first getting started. We were in the lab to market launch incubator program at Dalhousie. And I was speaking with farmers market managers all across the province. So I spoke with over 20 farmers market managers, and one in the Musquodoboit region was telling me that they have an active farmers market, super busy, super popular in the community on the weekends, and they get regular inquiries from renters. Where can I rent a kitchen? I need a kitchen to rent to make my product to sell at your market. And there was a woman from India who wanted to sell at the market, but couldn't find a kitchen in her region. The closest kitchen she could find to rent, she'd have to drive to the city from the Eastern Shore, and it just wasn't feasible. And she ended up not doing it. She just couldn't do it, right? She just gave up and didn't, right? That's one less person feeding our community. And that was heartbreaking. And as time went on, those stories became more and more common. Even just recently, we spoke with a woman who lives in the HRM who is already selling at a farmer's market some baked goods, which you can make at home and bring to market. But she's wanting to sell more prepared food and, struggling to find a kitchen. Just can't find a kitchen that she can rent. And with what she's currently doing, making baked goods, the profit margins aren't there. And so she's like, I have two kids waiting at home. I'm here hustling at the market. I just don't think it's worth it anymore. I'm like close to giving up. We had that conversation like 10 days ago. And like, it's always worth it, right? To hear it's not worth it. No, like it is worth it. Like feeding your community, like that's worth it. We need that. We need way more of that and way less junk from the big box stores, right? And in Nova Scotia, only 13% approximately of the food we eat is grown and produced locally. That needs to flip, right? We need thousands and thousands of more local food businesses. And a city like Halifax, growing, booming, major economic hub of all of Atlantic Canada, and we don't have dozens of rental kitchen facilities, let alone one that's available. It's just tragic, right? We have farmers markets that are still only open one day a week, right? St. John's, New Brunswick has a 7-day a week market, and they're a fraction of the size. Like we need to grow, we need to scale up. And hearing these food producers struggling and questioning if it's worth it to continue, like that heartbreak drives us every day to solve this problem. And to anybody out there with a kitchen, to switch to the other side of that storytelling, like if you're feeling hesitant to share your kitchen, like just book a demo call with us, right? We have weekly webinars and the ability to book a demo call. Talk to us. What is it that you feel is the concern, and we'll talk through it. Let's make this work. One of the things I heard actually from down in Yarmouth related to the fire hall. From what I understand, quite a lot of public money went into investing into the community center that's attached to the fire hall, and this big, beautiful commercial kitchen just sitting empty. But one of my favorite quotes was, we're volunteer firefighters, not property managers, right? It's like, well, in order to actually go and share this facility, there's a lot to do. And again, I said earlier, and I'll say again, like Food Web is that solution. Food Web is your property manager. Let us help alleviate the burden of facilitating those rentals so you can get people in there. The extra revenue is just one piece, but you're actually helping power the local food economy. Stories like I just told you of these food producers that are wondering if it's worth it and want to give up, like you opening your doors to those spaces could give somebody's business the fighting chance to get going and mean more local food on the table. So please open your doors. The local food movement needs it. And yeah, we're here to help on that.
Epic. Anything to say there, Wade? And you're representing the Southern Shore here, so you got a shout out there a minute ago if you wanted to chime in.
I don't know if I can handle that kind of pressure, but in these situations, again, to me, I know that on a professional basis, people go to the thought of, when a restaurant is not using its kitchen. But for me, my mind directly went to those halls. Often cases, public money or even private money that's raised, that's donated, go into creating these opportunities for kitchens to exist in these halls, which by and large, in small areas like rural Nova Scotia, don't get used the way that they could be used. And those situations are just sitting there waiting. And I'll steal a little bit. I'll steal a true example, not using Food Web, but how when two opportunities come together, how magical it can be. Here in Yarmouth, there was a chef, this is a few years ago, who developed a series of different sauces and dressings. And he wanted to do it on a larger scale and was trying to find a place in order to actually make that. And there was a bit of a search trying to find a proper place for that. And we didn't have Food Web at the time to kind of look around for that. Eventually, he found the local golf and country club who had a kitchen that was mostly sitting there empty. And through his work, we put the two of them together, and he created Soldier Boy, which is a sauce that continues to this day and is distributed through some major grocery stores here. And it was made right here in town at the Golf and Country Club's restaurant, or the kitchen of the Golf and Country Club. Now the Golf and Country Club has an independent entrepreneur who created a restaurant that exists seasonally there and is done. So there are examples of how when you put the entrepreneurs and the kitchens together, magic can happen, and it really can. I can think of other examples through Nova Scotia. I won't get into it, but there are examples of this when people are coming up with great ideas for bars, nutritious bars, and trying to figure out how to make that work. So it starts small and it scales up from there. And some true magic can happen in those kind of situations. And I see a whole bunch of stories in the future that are going to be used because Food Web exists.
Thanks, Wade. All I could think about as you were saying that is just how like Nova Scotia is famous for kitchen parties, right? Like this is in our blood. This is in our DNA, right? This goes back so far for us to gather around food, and that's not unique to Nova Scotia in that way. Like food is something that brings all of us together. But I think we might need to throw a couple kitchen parties. What do you think? Just to round everybody together and throw down. Because that magic does happen, right? Yeah.
And speaking of Nova Scotian stories, one of the examples that Justin and I usually throw out there is Cove Kombucha. One of the reason why we throw that out there is because they went national, right? They started making kombucha in their mom's kitchen, right? And then they scaled up from there. They started selling their kombucha at the Halifax Seaport Market. That's when I was buying from them every single week. I would take my growler, and I know Ryan. So does Justin. I went to school with him in Truro, Nova Scotia, and yeah. So that, I mean, we want to hear more of those success stories. We want to make more of those success stories, and Nova Scotia does have a lot of them. Like, we've got talent here. I think Nova Scotia won like 8 out of the 10 rewards for like microbreweries, right? So like, people know how to be ingenious here, and like, Food Web is about empowering and enabling those people, because we saw a gap basically in that small to middle scale. Like, some people are able to navigate it, Cove, for example, and then some people face tons of difficulty depending on what product you make. And Cove is a drink, right? And they, like, later on, got into a co-packing facility. Cool, good for them, ingenious, and like, they were able to navigate that small to medium scale turbulence in order to achieve liftoff. And that's what we want to enable. Like, we want tons and tons of these stories coming out of Nova Scotia, well, coming out of Canada as well. But this is where we start. And what else will you have up next there, Justin? Yeah, the kitchen setup guide. So earlier you mentioned that it's hard to like rent your kitchen. There's tons of resistance to doing so, right? It might be insurance, compliance, cleanliness. Like, you love your kitchen, you don't want to let people in there necessarily. Danielle, I want you to like chime in on this a little bit as well, and speak to some of the questions and concerns that you've heard from the members of RANS, and then what ultimately like made you get convinced to form this partnership with us. Like, what was it about Food Web that's okay, you know what, like, let's do this?
I mean, you hit the big ones where like the planning, the insurance. Is this going to make it cost more for me in the long run? And I think a big one is like, well, this is my space. I don't want other people in my space. But we have heard stories of people running successful partnerships where you have a restaurant that's closed Monday, Tuesday. They open it up for somebody who does a ghost kitchen and does soup takeaway, or someone who works and makes kimchi or popcorn, something that's very shelf stable. And so they don't need to be even necessarily at the market on Saturday, Sunday. They just need a place that is a commercial space that they can use. And I think there's also a lot, at least in our industry, where it's coming out of the pandemic, a lot of places had to close, sometimes even 4 days a week, because there wasn't either staff or they just couldn't keep up with demand, or whatever the reason may be, that those kitchens were empty for quite a while. And so this is an opportunity where, if you have to keep your kitchen closed for some reason, or maybe you're a seasonal business, this might be an opportunity to open up your doors, get a little extra revenue, kind of help offset the costs of running a business. As you said, the margins are very low in restaurants. I think the average is 4%, which is small. So anything that helps. And then also, like, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that. While you're not going to be necessarily bringing in a competitor. It's not like, oh, I'm an Indian restaurant, so I'm on another Indian restaurant's going to come and function through me. You might have somebody who does, like you said, drinks, or someone who does popcorn, or somebody who does soup or bread, that just need a space to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle, for highlighting a lot of that. And what we want to do is make it so easy. Kitchen or Keegan started that question talking about the kitchen setup guide that we're going to be launching this week. So I'll touch on that a little bit. A a lot of the kitchens we've talked to so far are like, oh, interesting. I would love to do that, but like, what do I need to get started? Right? What do I need to do first? So uh, everything from the practicalities around liability and the platform, but also how do you prepare the physical space, right? What do we need to do to get ready for somebody to actually be here? Maybe you need to put up a new shelf to store some stuff for your renters, right? There's some of these like tangible physical things. So we've put together a how to get my kitchen rental ready checklist, and it's a pretty long checklist of things to consider. Everything from preparing your space, but also what type of renter. You alluded to this, Danielle. Do I want somebody, like if I'm a cafe, maybe I want somebody coming in when we're closed to do a Uber Eats like ghost kitchen style thing, nighttime food delivery. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you don't want delivery drivers showing up to your kitchen. You'd rather somebody just come in and make kimchi and hot sauce, make it, pack it, and get out of there. Maybe you don't want that, but you're open to people coming in for cooking classes. And maybe that gives you anxiety, right? Some people we've talked to is like, whoa, 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 like a business coming in, that's one person, but a cooking class means you're going to have like 12 people in my kitchen. Like, no, no, no. And so there's all of these different types of people or personas that would be renting a kitchen. So as the kitchen owner, we empower you to make that decision and to think of that. Like, who is it that I'm really interested in sharing my kitchen with? It's not like you're going to list on Food Web and all of a sudden, all types of people are going to be booking your space. You have the control of what is the user type that is willing to come in. And then how do we prepare for that? Right? Do we have storage for somebody making frozen products versus refrigerated products? So that guide will be dropping this week, and it really is just like a high level checklist for you to really just think about every single step of what would be required.
One of the things I appreciated when we had discussed it as well is when you were talking about the different types of people you would like to rent your space. I appreciated the concept of like, oh, I want one person that is regularly coming into my space and renting. So maybe like somebody who every week they're doing the market. So they're coming in Wednesday, Thursday to get all their prep done so they can take it to the market, versus like, hey, I can't do this all the time, but here's sometimes like we close for this time and this time because I'm on vacation. But my manager's close by so they can kind of keep an eye on things. And like, I wouldn't mind somebody coming and working for that week. So like that kind of flexibility, I think is very beneficial.
We caught most of that. You just started cutting out there a little bit, Danielle, but
I'm sorry.
I think we got no, it's okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that though, because you're right. Somebody might be comfortable with like a celebrity guest chef flying in from New York doing a one-off pop-up, and somebody might not want that. They want that same person coming in every week. So when a kitchen signs up on Food Web, one of the first things you're asked is like, what type of person? Do you support the flexible hourly rentals? Do you want somebody that's going to sign that like longer term arrangement, and anything in between? So we're prepared to support in that way.
I'll expand upon that there, Justin. We've also got the ability to say, hey, I'm a kosher kitchen. Here's my certification. Hey, I'm gluten-free kitchen. Actually, don't bring your flour that has gluten in it in here. Like every level of customization that we heard straight from people's mouths, it made it into the platform, and that's the onboarding experience. So that kitchen rental setup guide, that's like as a preamble, like, hey, is your kitchen certified? Like, did you even get that done? Like, you need to start there, right? If it's not certified, then you might need to wait a little bit before you sign up on Food Web. But after your kitchen is ready and you've got your shelves and your freezer and your sanitation sinks and everything in between, and you know what the listing is actually going to look like, the onboarding experience, we've condensed it down to 10 minutes. I can do it in 10 minutes if I've got all the information in front of me. And so then you're listed. You've got your own page on Food Web. You can share it on social media. We'll help you maintain it. We'll help you optimize it. We'll help you promote it. And that's because like our business model at the very core of it, let's touch on this, Justin. This is an important point. Like your success, the kitchen's success, and the renter's success is our success. We don't make a penny until we have successful bookings go through the platform. That means that we're incentivized to get on the phone with your renters. We're incentivized to get on the phone with kitchens. Every kitchen, you've got a problem, pick up the phone, talk to us, get it on an email with us, because Justin and I are, this is what we're here to do. This is like, both of us are full time. We're diving headfirst into this thing. We're going to solve this problem, not only just in Nova Scotia, but abroad as well. And all of the incentives are aligned towards customer success, kitchen success, and renter success. And that's so, as we scale, as we have hundreds and thousands of kitchens on the platform, and we're no longer able to necessarily give every kitchen that tender love and care that everyone really deserves. And we have to bring on more people that share our vision. Everyone at the company, as we expand, is going to have the exact same set of incentives. It's a structural, cultural ethos that's built straight into Food Web. Wondering if you wanted to say anything on that there, Justin.
Yeah, totally. Especially around pricing. So, as Keegan said, we don't make any money unless the kitchen completes a successful booking. There's a software from an American company that has existed for a number of years to support shared kitchen management that charges, something like 200 American per month to use the software. But it's not getting a lot of use in Canada, and especially in the rural areas. So when we were designing our business, we designed it in a way, as Keegan just said, like, there's no upfront cost to the kitchen. If you're a big warehouse designed to be a shared kitchen with like multiple stations, it might make a little more sense to buy a tool to rent that. But when we're looking at the fire halls and the cafes and these underused spaces, we didn't want to put a price tag up front to say, hey, pay this monthly fee to then maybe make money. We just didn't think that made sense for those users, for those businesses. So we're here to help you, and we only get paid when you get paid. So that drives us to make sure that this works for you. So again, if there's things that aren't working, let us know. And we're putting together other things to help. So one example is, we spoke with a restaurant in Dartmouth that was very interested, loves the idea of making some extra money, but they're renting the space. They don't own their building. So it's a question of, okay, but I probably need to check in with my landlord. We've built a template for talking to your landlord. And I like to, rather than ask for permission, my strategy is a little bit more just tell them what you're going to do, but do it confidently, and lay it all out. So, hello, Mr. Landlord. We are going to share our kitchen. We are using Food Web. This is how all safety precautions are measured. This is how we're mitigating for risk and liability, and they have insurance, blah, 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 blah. So you give that to your landlord, and they're going to be like, how do you say no to that? Right? And so we want to equip the kitchens with as much of these types of resources. So if there's something we've missed, let us know, and we'll see how we can build that into the system as well.
So someone in the comments there, Justin, just said the Uber of kitchens, and I don't think that we've actually mentioned part of our tagline yet in this live stream here. Our go-to phrase in order to have the idea of Food Web kitchens be communicated on the spot is, we're the Airbnb of kitchens. That's because you're renting a physical space. We're trying to make a platform that is not dissimilar to Airbnb. Right. And so, like, I want you to think about the challenge in front of Justin and I want to talk a little bit about social proof and how, I want to, Justin to, explain how we've got momentum. I'm going to tee you up a little bit, Justin, but Yeah, think about Uber, think about Airbnb, where they started. There's a fantastic story about the Airbnb founders, about how they're like a month away from just crashing and burning and throwing it all in the trash. And they were selling cereal, and they wanted to sell something like 10% of their company for 150K. Sounds insane when you look back on it. And people were like, no, 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 that's never going to work. How are you going to get people like to go into your home? Like that's like, you're just gonna like what, trust them? Like, and then like, oh, you're just gonna get into the car with a stranger? Like that sounds crazy. And so it's not that crazy anymore. People are really familiar with these ideas, so some of that friction has been alleviated for us. But we've touched on earlier in this live stream the other elements that people are still uncomfortable with. You fork over $50,000 for a brand new kitchen, you're still going to be pretty hesitant to let someone into that, because if they set it on fire, well, then your kitchen's on fire, and there's obvious challenges with that. Go ahead there, Justin, if you wanted to say any more words on that.
Well, you alluded to it just in that, in the early days of Airbnb or Uber, it was this novel thing. It was like, what do you mean? Right. And so we have some work to do to normalize kitchen sharing. Right. So right now there's that hesitancy of like, what do you mean share my kitchen? Right. Like some ovens these days cost like $30,000 for a single oven with all these fancy buttons and steam features, and if you have the temperature too high for too long, it'll automatically shut itself off. And then it needs like a 45-minute cool down period. It's like, I'm on timeout now. Like I'm angry. Right. And the task we have at hand, both at Food Web, but what we're asking the wider community to support is like, let's normalize sharing kitchens, right? So in 2 years from now, when we look back, December 8th, 2027, I want us to look back and be like, wow, like kitchen sharing just normal. Like it's a thing that exists. It's normal. We get it. It's been happening for 2 years. And that's the task at hand. And that's what we need, support from the community. And again, why we built the referral program. For anybody just tuning in, earlier in the recording here, we announced a referral program. Go out, if you're walking down the street and you see a cafe at 6 p.m. and the lights are off, and you look in the windows and you're like, there's an empty kitchen. That could be powering the local food economy. Like the next day when it's open, like go in and be like, hey, talk about getting that kitchen used. So anybody that wants to participate in that, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. But we have an uphill road, and we got a good hike to the top of this hill. I know we can do it.
I also know that we can do it. We've got proof that we can do it, actually. So November 1st rolled around, and Justin and I had 2 kitchens on the platform. So it was the Halifax Brewery Market Kitchen. That's our pilot kitchen. They helped us really understand a lot of those needs of like a multi-station kitchen, right? So they don't just have one station that you can cook at in the brew market. There's multiple stations in that kitchen that you can rent. So I want you to like think of like a bigger community center, maybe with multiple stoves, multiple ovens, multiple places that can host a single like food business. And then that all sits under one kitchen, right? And both of those can maintain their own schedule, their own equipment, their own like booking. That's how we built that with the brew market. So shout out to them. That was a huge leg up for us to have them on board and give us all of that info and be with us on that journey. And so you can rent the brew market. Like if you're a renter, you can go on right now and you can sign up and you can rent the brew market. And then the second kitchen that came onto our platform is Churned in Dartmouth. And shout out to Churned. We're gonna send this live stream to them later so that they can hear the shout out. But they just like Justin and I walked around Dartmouth one day with pamphlets and flyers and like stuck it under doors and like put it in people's mailboxes. And then a day later, Churned signed up with like a fully fleshed out, amazing profile. It was just like, oh, you just did the whole onboarding experience. Like you didn't need our help. You didn't call us. You just did it. And that was like, whoa, social proof. And then from there on, Justin and I just hit the gas. Basically, we're like, this is going to work. We're ready. Let's go. Let's have a grand launch date of today, December 8th. And then so in the last month, we've got 8 more signups. So we've made it to 10. Justin and I said, okay, by December 8th, we need 10 kitchens, right? That's our goal. And we achieved it. We achieved that goal. We've got more than 10 kitchens on December 8th. And that's enough proof for me that, okay, cool. We've quadrupled the number of kitchens in the last month. That means, okay, we've got a big job ahead of us. By January, we're gonna have 40 kitchens. What do you think? Maybe with the help of Rands, that'll happen. But yeah, I digress. We're gonna open it up to Q&A. If Wade and Danielle want to say anything else, Mariah, if you want to chime in, it's the last 5 minutes, and just want to say thank you all, everyone tuning in, everyone that did tune in, everyone that came, Wade, Danielle, Mariah, thanks for attending and lending your voice and your opinion. And yeah, over to you, Justin.
I think that was a good summary. I know that many restaurants are going into their busiest time of the year. So, we don't want to stress you out with signing something up while you're managing, Christmas holiday bookings, New Year's bookings. But come January 4th, when everybody stops spending money in restaurants, expect to hear from us, right? This is going to be a really perfect time while things get a little slower to okay, how are we going to do this? So we won't be too aggressive in our sales going into late December. We're going to be kind and appreciate, early January, it's go time again. Let's get, kitchens onboarded and into the system. So big thanks. And yeah, as Keegan said, if anybody has any questions, I'm just going to look here at the live streams. Feel free to drop anything into the chat there if you have questions. Happy. And again, reach out anytime. We can't do this without the community. So, if you want to co-host an event in your neighborhood, your local community, we want to be there. If you want to do a dinner, you want to chat on a podcast, really anything, we're happy to engage.
Congratulations again. We look
I see
forward to
one-
working with you.
Ooh. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said congratulations again. We look forward to working with you. Sorry for my poor internet
Thank
connection.
you.
I just want to say that I'm proud of you guys.
Thanks, Mariah.
It's been quite the journey. It's been accelerating at a fast pace consistently.
Yeah, thanks, Mariah. I see one thing here on LinkedIn in the chat from Kristen LeBlanc. Shout out to Rink Fries. So this is a great app coming together in the Yarmouth region as well. So if you ever been to a hockey game and you're missing the game standing in line for your French fries, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore because Kristen and his team is building an app for that. Being able to order French fries from your seat at the hockey arena. You can watch more of the game. And we would love to talk about how we can collaborate, Kristen. We had a little call about a week and a half ago. And and that's something that I want to just highlight here too is we alluded to the bigger picture, right? We're working on kitchens, and then what is this bigger effort to create a digital ecosystem for food? If you have an app idea that's relevant, you're working on another piece of the puzzle, come and talk to us. There's so much crossover here. We met a gentleman in Toronto that built a food costing tool called My Kitchen Ops. Shout out My Kitchen Ops. Wow, this it blew my mind. As somebody who has managed kitchens and has had to deal with inventory and food costing, what they showed me in their demo, it blew my mind. If I wasn't working on Food Web, I'd be applying for a job at My Kitchen Ops. But there's opportunity for us to collaborate. We serve the same customers. Somebody renting a kitchen is also going to need to do food cost analysis. So if you're out there with another piece of the puzzle, reach out. We would love to see how we can stitch our tools together.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to stop there, Justin. Okay. So once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. That's it, actually. Yeah, great.
Thanks, everybody.